Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Hello Player One, where we explore the intersection of business and marketing of the metaverse. Today, my guest is Zach Letter, who is the co-founder and CEO of Wonderworks, a Roblox game studio that have created the hits such as Overlook Bay and Trader. Their games in total so far have over 200 million visits. Welcome, Zach.
Thank you for having me, Jack. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I really hope we dig into game design and all that kind of stuff because that's my background. So I think this will be a really interesting talk. But to start off, I'd love to hear your story and how did you get started with Wonderworks. It looks like you're a YouTuber in your previous career.
Yeah, I have a very untraditional background, I would say, when it comes to gaming. Obviously, since I was a small child, I love video games. My first gaming memory is playing Conan the Barbarian on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So that was a long time ago. But kind of when it came to being an adult and having a career, I was fortunate enough to find YouTube really early. And I started producing gaming videos and content in 2007 and turning that into a career for the
That's
better part
really
of a
early.
decade. It was very early. Yes. My brother is actually the person that told me about the website, was like, you can do all of this stuff. We liked making funny little home movies, and I loved gaming. So I'm like, well, I could make movies using games as kind of the canvas for that. So for over a decade, I did that. I amassed a few million subscribers. I did over 1 billion views across all my channels. And then I met my wife, and in 2018, she wanted to start her influencer journey. She was doing a few things prior to 2018, but she started looking at Roblox, and she said, wow, this platform's huge. It seems really diverse. And I think I can kind of build something with the IP that already exists there. So she built a massive audience in just 2 short years. She has 10 million plus followers across all of her platforms. She's done over 1 billion views as well. And during her rise to success, I noticed that she would have 70,000 people watching a live stream. And I'm like, wow,
Wow.
you can command a lot of people to go do good, check things out. You could introduce them to new IP and franchises. I'm like, we should maybe make our own video game and it's something that we could do in partnership with your audience, and they can be part of the process. So in November of 2019, we founded Wonderworks with that idea in mind, using social media to build a presence for a studio where the studio itself was an influencer in a way. And we would listen to our community to build games that they felt weren't on the platform, or improve upon games that were and game concepts that already existed.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. So, one, I'm not from this, I would say, new generation of game design, right? Where I'm from, we spend money to acquire users on mobile and we monetize primarily through the big spenders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So interestingly enough, actually did have seen some of your wife's content. So this is Megan Plays. I saw her content around the pandemic where everyone was going on YouTube. And I noticed that I was actually watching Minecraft videos, but I saw okay, what is this Roblox thing? It seems to be really taking off. And I remember seeing you influencers not having that many views, and then in a matter of months, just the views on Roblox were just skyrocketing. And one of the influencers that I ran into is Megan's Plays, and then I didn't put the two and two together until much later.
Yeah, no, when I was doing YouTube as part of my career, I tried to do Roblox in 2014, and it
Yeah.
just didn't get the same traction as Minecraft did. And that was what I was primarily playing on my YouTube channel, was Minecraft. So totally get that. It did feel like it was an overnight evolution. It was only a couple of players, I feel really at first, that had most of the audience share. And now there's dozens upon dozens, if not 100 plus significantly sized influencers on Roblox.
Yeah. So yeah, I love to just dig into a little bit more about how the studio itself is an influencer. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so Wonderworks has a few unique approaches to user acquisition, and I guess I can kind of start with how we acquired users on our first IP, Overlook Bay. Now, Overlook Bay was the first game we started developing. I designed the experience from the ground up, and then a small team helped me develop it, just a team of two, one programmer
That's
and one
wow.
environmental artist. Yeah,
Wow.
so
Okay.
we were kind of like guys in the garage trying to make our first product and see if people enjoyed it. And when we were making it, we knew it was going to take us 7 or 8 months to produce. And we thought, okay, how are we going to market this game? And obviously, low hanging fruits like use Megan's brand, push as many people to it as we can. But we were really new to making games. Like all of us were gamers, we love video games, but we didn't know like what people really wanted on Roblox. So we didn't want to put Megan on the line pushing millions of people to this game if it wasn't potentially ready. So what we decided to do was we made a virtual influencer or a VTuber called Honey the Unicorn. And this was a character that existed in Megan's universe, but only appeared in Megan's videos. So we decided that we were going to make an animated face cam that we would puppet through Adobe, and we were going to give them a unique voice, a bedroom, a personality, and a webcam that they would then record gaming videos on. And our plan was that they would play games that were of the same genre of Overlook Bay on Roblox. So every audience member that they acquired would potentially be a player of Overlook Bay. And in just a few short months, they gained nearly 750,000 subscribers, and we're doing millions of views every single month. And basically, within 2 months of Overlook's release, we gave Honey the Unicorn early access to Overlook Bay. So he was doing demos and playthroughs, getting audience
Wow.
feedback, and he became part of our development team. So Honey the Unicorn was part of Wonderworks, and he was working hard on this game that he was really excited about. Spoiler, I was Honey the Unicorn. So I was making all of these videos because of my background, and I was also designing Overlook. So getting all of these people watching all of these videos and giving their feedback immediately was so helpful to the design process. But because of that program that we kind of started with Honey, we had over 1 million favorites on Overlook Bay before its release. And there was so much attention across the entire Roblox community that we decided to release the game in paid access because we had to control the top of the funnel. And we sold 1.2 million copies in 2 weeks. Had
Wait,
30,000 CCU.
so wait, so what does that mean? So because right, so that means you sold like the first what, like first a million access,
Yeah, the first 1.2 million
players.
people had to pay to play, which is
What
a
was
very
the yeah, like that's unheard of on
yeah.
Roblox.
Yeah, it was a cheap payment. It was 25 cents, but it was a way to control where you would only have people that could kind of pay to get in, so that way you didn't have hundreds of thousands of CCU. We still had 30,000 CCU dropping the game in paid access, which blew our minds. And good thing we dropped it in paid access because, there were some bugs and things we had to work through in the beta. But within 4 weeks, we dropped it free to play and had 90,000 CCU, 26 million unique users, and Overlook Bay went on to generate millions of dollars in revenue on platform and off through merchandise.
Wow. Okay. Um,
So that's
yeah.
how we kind of
So
think of us as influencers. It's utilizing viral design, viral tactics to acquire users, and we never pay to acquire a user at Wonderworks. That's something we really pride ourselves on. We figure out how can we make content that's organic enough to catch an influencer's eye. How can our icon and our title speak to an influencer when they're scrolling through a page of hundreds of games and be like, wait, if I use that character from that icon on my thumbnail and incorporated that title into the title of my video, this is going to go viral. And that's what we really work on. And it goes all the way into our game design too, is like, what's the first 30 seconds? Nowadays, it's more like, what's the first 15 seconds? I feel like attention span is getting smaller and smaller. So it's really about packing as much as you can into the experience, being able to drop an experience without a new player experience as well. We find when you're paying for a game, you're willing to play a tutorial, you're willing to learn because you're already invested. But in these free to play games and in this era, we need to captivate people and not put them basically through a school class. So Wonderworks is an influencer because we try to build and foster communities that contribute to the game the same way they contribute to the influencers' content, and then our content scratches that itch for them as well.
okay. So there's no tutorial in any of your games.
We've had to do some in some of our partnerships and things like that, just in case like the client or something wants that. But in most of our games, we go without. Now, we have had more ambitious projects like Overlook that had paid access, which we felt that was okay to have the tutorial because, like I said, once you kind of pay something, you're a little bit more committed and a little bit more willing. But if we have a game that has a lot of features like Overlook Bay does, we try to keep the tutorial really simple, but also regional to where okay, I've entered the pet shop. Now I'm getting a really bite-sized tutorial for how things work in this specific location. Not, hey, I'm getting 90 pages of content at the beginning and they're walking me all around the world to just introduce every mechanic to me. So we really try, if we have to do it, make it super bite-sized.
Okay. I mean, what is the attention span of players on Roblox on average, right? Because it's it's just not the same as like mobile, Steam, definitely not console.
Yeah, no. I think like it's not as casual as like hyper casual games. So most of our games have 10 minutes plus, and they are more casual games. So we have some platformers, and I would say those are typically probably the most casual on the platform. On Roblox, they call them obbies. Those have 7 to 12 minutes, depending on how long that obby is. Overlook had 15 to 18 minutes because there was a lot that we did in the game loop to really make you commit to at least a 9 to 12 minute session. And most people wanted to do that loop twice. So we got 15 to 18 minutes. Um, and then I've seen certain adventure games that kind of skew a little bit older, like anime inspired IP that has 40 minutes of playtime on an
Oh,
average
whoa.
session. So it
Wow.
really depends on the demo you're targeting. Roblox is like this really giant ecosystem with such a diverse player base.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to dig into that a little bit later on. So you mentioned about how when you're creating a game, you're thinking of the characters that you're going to be put into it that could be used as like a character in a YouTuber's video. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Like, how do you catch the YouTuber's attention to want to use a character? Like, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, obviously our background and everything we've done in our career before Wonderworks kind of lends itself pretty well to this. But we have a network of games and we call them hypercats. They're like more like hybrid casual experiences that have somewhat of replayability. They're not totally hyper casual, but we release 1 to 2 of those experiences every single week. And we have released 6 of them to date since late February. So quite a few in the last few months. And now we're doing 1 to 2 a week. We've done nearly 100 million visits on those, but over 100 million views off platform as well across those 6 titles. And one has done nearly 50 million on its own. And that's not counting TikTok or YouTube Shorts. That's long form content views. If we count TikTok, YouTube Shorts, I mean, it's tens, if not hundreds of millions more. Um, and what we try to really think about, if let's say we're building a platformer that has a narrative and a story, I think you kind of need those to really appeal to YouTubers. You need to set them up with something, because I think the dilemma of a YouTuber is, okay, I have to produce daily content. What am I doing today? I need
yeah.
something. I've been playing the same game for X amount of months or X amount of years. Is there anything new that could help me out? So our strategy with the Hypercats network is we're going to release 2 games a week for you. That should be at minimum of 2 videos out of your 7, hopefully a little bit more. And then when we service live ops to these games, as we have more in the network, I mean, we're hoping that we can take up your full 7-day calendar. Um, but we know what kids really want to click into. And with our platformer strategy, it's about having an antagonist on the icon that's a little bit disturbing, maybe not super appealing. We've had some success with like Escape Your Evil Stepmother. And I think a lot of people can relate to having like this step parent. It's like a tale as old as time at this point. But we made her look, a little bit ugly, a little bit robotic, a little bit like dead in the eyes. And kids were like instantly like, okay, I'm scared of her, but I want to see what's going on there. So it's all about asking the question and making kids ask themselves, okay, like, what is this? I need to click and I need to see. So we really take a Mr. Beast approach to how we design these games on their front facing website appearance, but also once you're in, what kind of content are you being fed second by second that keeps you engaged?
I mean, I am familiar with Mr. Beast's content, but I'm not so well known as to like how he puts his content together. So when you say the Mr. Beast approach, what do you mean? Like, are you thinking of it from like a story narrative? Because it looks like all his videos are story driven. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So when you look at the platformers, it's like, okay, it's escape your school bully. Okay, so I know that in the beginning narrative, there's this bully that's harassing me. I need to go on an adventure where I'm trying to escape him, and then the kind of bow on top is ultimately defeating him in a boss battle, and I save the day, and the school is now rid of this bully. So it's about having a story that you can have that sense of completion in a session. I think when it comes to these more casual games, but also what Mr. Beast does, and I mean, I think what a lot of content's doing nowadays is you never stay on one thing for too long. So Mr. Beast, if you watch his videos, there's a cut every 3 seconds, if not less. So he's never expecting you to keep your gaze on something for more than just a few seconds. And when we were designing our platformers, a lot of these are 10-minute experiences, but they have like 45 stages. So it is really about, hey,
See.
each stage is 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You're being thrown into something new environment, new obstacle, new sounds. And it's just something that's like, oh, you never are like, okay, I've been in this hallway for 10 minutes. I'm done. I don't care anymore. I've died 3 times. I'm sick of it. It's like, okay, you've been in this hallway for 8 seconds. Now you're in this cafeteria for 7. Oh, now the lunch lady's chasing you around and she's upset. Now you got to find the secret key. So it's always about throwing something new at the player, but not complicating it. It's doing it tastefully with mechanics they'll be familiar with, depending on the genre.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you're almost making it easy for the YouTuber to be able to, when they do their editing, to know where
Exactly.
to edit.
Yep, it's like the videos basically make themselves. We've noticed YouTubers doing literally a playthrough of these experiences and then not editing them, and then getting 3 million
Yeah.
views on a video. That's because the editing's almost done for itself. As long as you can talk and fill 10 minutes of space with your voice as a YouTuber, we're changing the scenery enough. We're changing the obstacles. We're keeping people engaged.
What's the name of one of these more casual titles?
Yeah, we did Escape Evil Dollhouse recently. That one went mega viral. We had an influencer get over 3 million views on a long form video. We had someone get over 10 million views on a short form video, all around this antagonist. And it's really funny. We made this game, and it was about kind of escaping this evil dollhouse with this like killer doll like chasing you, and having these moments, and you were shrunk down to a toy size, so you're in this child's bedroom
Oh,
running
yeah.
around going through all these toys, and it's really fun. But people felt very sympathetic for the doll we found after their first playthrough, and after it accumulated its first few million views, like, because at the end when you defeat it, the chandelier falls down and like kind of just disables the doll and you're able to get away. And they're like, no, I love Darling, I love the doll. So
That's
we
funny.
saw that with the community, and we made an alternative ending where if you did XYZ throughout the platformer, you could unlock the secret ending where you actually spare her and save her and become good friends. So it's really interesting with these games. We make them relatively quickly, and but no one is similar to the last. So we've accumulated over 700,000 group members in that group already in just a short couple of months, and everyone is just so excited when we release a new one. We find they take, organically 5 to 7 days to find their stride in the algorithm on Roblox, and to get in front of a decent amount of influencers, it takes 1 to 2 weeks, because all of our discovery at Wonderworks is organic. We're not going to influencers. We're not spending $10,000 a video. We're not paying for views on live streams or TikToks. We try to make content that we know appeals to the influencer, and then that drives the traffic.
So because these games are like they seem really short, right?
Mhm.
How do they monetize? Because it seems like people are going to play it and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, right now we're only in the first 2.5 months of the network's existence. Uh, I can give some rough figures. So basically, they're not going to they're not going to monetize like your Adopt Me or your Pet Sim. There's not that many opportunities to do so. They monetize extremely well from engagement-based payouts because you engage a lot of users for a decent period of time. Like we've had 35, probably now 45 million unique users come through this network already in the last 2.5 months. Um, but we also do have in-game monetization, and we're making already over 6 figures a month reoccurring from the network that we just spun up in the last 2.5 months. Now they do have shorter lifespans, but we have seen some last longer than others. But what we're really using this network for is to build our audience. So right now, I can tap into, you know, 30 million monthly active players, and I can advertise our next big flagship IP to them. I can portal that traffic to our next big flagship IP. We can do integrations with awesome entertainment brands, music labels, and get them in front of an audience tomorrow. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's so powerful about this network. And that's really our strategy with it too. We're still working on flagship IP that can be the Adopt.me, the Pet Sims, the Bloxburgs. And we're going to use this network with spare labor to build all of these eyeballs that we can direct where we want.
What do you mean by engagement payouts? I'm not familiar with like that term.
Yeah, Roblox has premium users, so you can pay a monthly fee to have Roblox Premium. You get, X amount of Robux for free every single month. You get access to special perks in certain games, and when those users spend time in your experience, Roblox gives you a piece of that back in return of that monthly fee. So the more users you captivate and the longer you hold their gaze, the more money you make from those engagement
Got
payouts.
it. Okay. And so that's a really simple way to monetize without these, for example, microtransactions.
Exactly. Now it's if you can engage users, you can make a decent amount of money.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So let's maybe jump over to some of the brand like you know games that you guys created. Uh, yeah. So like maybe like what's the one of the biggest games that you created with for a brand?
I think one that was really exciting was working for Comic Relief's new charity, Kids Relief. If you're familiar with Red Nose Day, that's Comic Relief, and they spun up a new charity, kind of in tandem with us building out this game for them, called Kids Relief, and it's really going to benefit kids in their education and kids that might not have the same, access to resources as others may. So we built this game for them called Solar Punk Simulator, and the whole purpose was to drive awareness to the new charity, to raise a little bit of money for the charity, and to hopefully be something that we can live op into with more exciting activations as the charity kind of spins up and decides to do more. When we built this experience, though, we really wanted to figure out how can we get a bunch of users for this amazing cause at no cost to the charity, because that's counterproductive.
Yeah. Right.
um, so we were thinking, and with their help, we got Jack Black to do the narration and all the voice work for the tutorial, the new player experience. He also introduced the concert, because inside this Solar Punk Simulator, we held an awesome concert in partnership with Republic Records, and their artist Boy with Uke. And then we also got Boy with Uke to record with some YouTubers, all, just for free. YouTubers donated their time and made time to put it on their channels and send traffic to this experience. But then one of our ideas were, how can we bake a little bit of competition into this? And we decided to host a penny war. Like, if you remember in grade school, maybe your homeroom would have a big jar and it's like, bring your pennies in. Whichever homeroom has the most gets a pizza party at the end of the day. So what we did was we had a penny war. We got 3 of the largest Roblox influencers to participate. We got Creekcraft, Digito, Sim, and iBella. And what they did is they encouraged all their audiences to come over and play the game and pledge their Robux to their favorite influencer. So one of those 3. And it just generated so much buzz. Creekcraft was streaming to like 16,000 people as he was playing. And then we surprised him with Rick Astley. So Rick Astley crashed his stream and Rick rolled him. And then they let's
Oh wow.
played Solar Punk Simulator for 45 minutes. We raised a good amount of money, a lot of awareness. The game has 5 million visits in just a short 2-week activation. And it was a great success, and it was so fulfilling and rewarding to work on. We produced a 10-minute concert. We got to work with Jack Black as he was promoting Super Mario, the movie. So as
Oh
he was in
wow.
Atlanta promoting the movie, he was recording in the hotel for us, to do these lines. So we really appreciated that. And then we worked with so many great YouTubers to promote that experience, and it was super fulfilling to everybody.
I'm really curious, like, because I hear about brand activations like everywhere in the metaverse, like Fortnite, Roblox. Because a lot of them, a lot of these activations don't translate necessarily to purchases. So
Mm-hmm.
what are they looking for? Yeah.
I think what we've always encouraged everyone we've worked with to do, especially after that first year where everyone was kind of rushing to the platform and just trying to get a presence, was to do something native and organic. And a lot of the times that can make some brands a little uncomfortable because some of the stuff that's native can sound a little weird or quirky to major marketing people. But overall, we've been able to get brands more comfortable, especially in the last 6 months or so, to doing something that just makes sense to the platform. Like if you were to release this game without a marketing initiative in mind, what would you do to make money? And that's how you have to think about it. So there's two sides to the coin. Is your goal to make money, or is it to have as many players come through the experience as possible to garner as much attention for some initiative? So if your goal is initiative based, we have ways to get you visits. But if it is to make money, we really suggest go native, do things that you would already find on the platform, genres that already work, and tackle it with a unique spin. And that's what we really did with Solar Punk Simulator and Kids Relief. And we're working with the nation of Singapore right now on a couple experiences, and we really encourage them with their experience. Their whole goal was eyeballs. Like we want people to want to visit Singapore in the future. You want that to be a life goal of theirs. And what we did was we just did some really organic things and then placed it in the environment of Singapore. So you're doing a cart race, or you're completing an obby, or you're role playing, but you're in these amazing, beautiful environments that you can only really see if you go to Singapore. Um,
Right.
yeah.
And so let's say like for that specific activation, you don't have to do any. They don't have to do like media spend, right, to get people
Yeah.
into the game because you guys already have the user base.
Yeah, so we work if trying to get users a couple different ways. We utilize strategies incentivizing players with rewards for completing certain badges and achievements. And there's a huge community that loves that. So by being able to kind of cater to them, you get a couple million visits pretty easily. But then we
Can
also
you
have
explain that a little bit? Are they rewarded with Roblox?
no, they're rewarded with UGC items, which are user generated content that they can use to design and kind of customize their avatar for the platform. So hats, backpacks, clothing material items, just small stuff like that. So like the collect them all type people really come and enjoy that. And it's a way to
And
get
you
something
guys
free
create
to
them,
customize.
right?
We do.
Or
Yes.
yeah, okay, got it. Makes sense. Okay. Um, yeah. So I guess like when brands come to you guys, um, like are they looking for the best, or when they're looking for Roblox studios in general, are they looking for the best experiences that the studio can create, or are they looking for the audience size that the studio has?
I think it's a mix because I think you can't have one without the other. Like you wouldn't want to go with a studio that doesn't make great games but have a large audience, and you wouldn't want to go with one that makes great games but has no way to reach anybody. So I think for us, like our strategy when we talk to people is like, yes, we're connected to many influencers. In just the network of influencers we know and have access to, they do 4 billion views a month, nearly 50 billion views a year. And those are just our top influencers. We can pretty much reach anybody and everybody. So if you do have ad spend and you want to spend, we can get you in front of anyone. And you wouldn't have to work with their agents or anything like that. Two, that's why we're building our network, Hypercats, because if you want users tomorrow, or if you just want to get in front of people immediately, we can get you in front of millions of people right away.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely a mix. I think if you have a long-term vision for this platform and you want to be here for a while, I think you're maybe a little bit more concerned with quality of the content and what kind of game you're going to have. Because ultimately, if you make a great game, the players are going to come. They're going to find it. This is such a social platform that when I see my friend activity, there's a sort on Roblox called Friends Recently Played. When I see my friends have recently played something, I usually check it out because we have similar tastes and I'm kind of interested in what they've been playing. And if it's a good game, I'll enjoy it. So Roblox's discoverability is great. So if you make a great game like we are with these Hypercats, they can organically explode on the platform, even without YouTube coverage and everything. But it really is understanding exactly what the platform's looking for. So I think it does depend per brand.
Got it. So maybe you can spend a couple of minutes on just talking about what the Roblox algorithm is. So So they have like this friends recently play. That's really cool because we don't have that in mobile, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like do you see that a big percentage of your users or your plays comes from that feature, or does it even split it out by where the traffic is coming from?
Yeah, it recently started to split it up. So now we can actually see, okay, are people coming from their friends recently played? Are they coming from search, or are they coming from sort recommendations? So there's a lot of different sorts on Roblox. Like one is called platformer obby, which a lot of our hypercats get into because they're platformers. And then we have the friends activity. We have recommended for you, which kind of works like the YouTube algorithm to where if you watch enough of one thing, you'll start getting recommended a bunch of that thing. So if you play a lot of platformers, recommended for you will be filled with platforming experiences. And then there's the sorts like top earning, most popular, most engaging, and those are all based on different metrics. Um, but when we release a game, it takes typically 3 to 5 days to index. So let's say the game is called Gym Teacher. You'll search the game day one and you probably won't find anything. You won't find our game. You won't find what you're trying to. But within 3 to 5 days, you'll start to see Gym Teacher show up in the sort, and that's when things really start to take off. Because I always say once you're indexing in the search, now you're starting to be in Friends Recently Played. You're starting to show up on the platform. I feel like that's kind of bozo time where they're making sure that your experience is appropriate. It's going to pass all
Yeah.
moderation. Your questionnaire was filled out appropriately. But once that kind of happens, it functions just like YouTube. And I think that's why Wonderworks is really uniquely kind of positioned to have success. And we've had success with this Hypercats network because it really is okay. What's our video title slash game title? What's our icon slash thumbnail? And we ship it, and we know we make quality products. So once users are in, they're having a good time. The experiences are highly rated, um, and then they'll trend, and Roblox will do the rest of the work. And then when Roblox does a
Right.
little bit of work, YouTubers see it, and then they start to do more of the work, and it gets in front of more users.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just like nuts. I was just really curious if, do you see that, every 1,000, YouTube views about one of your games is like one play? Like, is there any metric like that?
Yeah, it was crazy. We had this game called Escape Mr. Smiley's Daycare, and it was a completely original character. We just made him up. He was like some type of puppet, and the game at first only had like 5 million visits, and it was our first platformer ever. So we were like kind of new to it. Like we were just experimenting, but then all of a sudden it went and got 10 million views in the next 48 hours on YouTube. And then someone took the model and made a Minecraft game with it. And then that went on
Oh,
to get
wow.
15 million views on YouTube. And all of a sudden, Smiley went from 5 million visits to almost 20 million. So it really does contribute. If you can get in front of these YouTubers organically, um, like I remember when Smiley got those first 10 million views, it was really just the biggest of the big making videos. It was a few people. But then I always say, like, when someone massive does something like that, now you have a bunch of medium sized influencers following. And then there's smaller influencers following those medium influencers. And now your game's kind of unstoppable. You're getting hundreds of thousands of views every single day, if not millions. And it's constantly keeping a decent CCU in that experience for months to come.
Got it. Yeah, very very cool. Just the way of like acquiring users. It just seems to be reverse, complete reverse, right? As opposed to creating a game and then going out to get the influencers. It's more like build the game for the influencers so they will get users into your game later. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, and I can say this because I used to be an influencer. It's not fun to work with influencers. It's not cheap to work with influencers. Like if you need to pay to get in front of these people, it's it's never going to be a positive. Like unless it's a more aggressive industry like mobile. Like I mean, it can be worth it. But on Roblox and I think even like Fortnite, you don't want to pay $25,000, $50,000 for one video. Um,
Right.
to convert users. I don't think it's going to convert how it would. Um, you want to be able to have an influencer want to make that video and want to make that second. When you look at the most successful experiences on Roblox and even Fortnite, those are experiences that organically gain that traction and interest. And now basically influencers that used to fuel the game fuels the influencers. The influencers are waiting for that next update. They're waiting for that next piece of content so they can continue to make videos. So we always say we're going to make billion-dollar IP on this platform that makes millionaires of the people that adopt it into their content strategy. Not that we're paying them anything, but Google AdSense is. So we have to make good enough
Mm-hmm.
content that they see it to be compelling enough to make videos on.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe let's talk about what what makes it an engaging game. Right. So one of the things I notice coming from mobile is, in mobile we talk about MAU, right, monthly active users, or DAUs, and like ARPU, these metrics, and we talk about retention a lot, right? What makes a good game? A retention based game. When I came over to Roblox to look at just what metrics they give, it was mostly plays. So yeah, I just want to hear a little bit more, like what makes a good game. Like what are you guys building towards? Is it a session time? Is it retention? Or is it just plays?
Our biggest metric is, one, session time is huge. Like, definitely looking at that. And there's usually benchmarks for most genres on this platform. So if you're falling short of it, most likely something's wrong, or needs to be addressed. Um, but it's also, you know, replayability. How many of the users that you've had, like let's say we've had 1 million visits to an experience, if that's from 1 million users, there's a massive problem. uh, so the stickiness isn't there. We want to look at good day 7 retention and just session time. I think those are the two biggest factors. Monetization is always something you can figure out later. So if something's underperforming monetarily at the very beginning, doesn't really matter. Get people on, get people returning, get people playing longer. That's our biggest goal. And then once we kind of have that solved, now it's like, okay, how do we monetize through live ops? How do we increase our monetization aggression? And that's what we think about. I know with Overlook Bay, when we first released the experience, not super optimized for mobile. We quickly learned that is a huge deal. Roblox, I would say, is 70% mobile for most genres,
Wow.
which, yeah, between mobile and tablet, I would say. And for platformers on Roblox, we find that it's almost 90% mobile tablet. So it really is understanding, okay, we're building these games on PC, we're testing them on PC most times, but that's not how most of our users are experiencing it. So it really was about forcing ourselves onto mobile devices, tablets, seeing how people experience it and what would kind of keep them. And that's where you find usually the root of most of your problems, that you're not totally optimized there. But yeah, those two metrics, just session time and retention, those are the most important.
So when you guys first released Overlook Bay, did you guys hit your metrics on the first launch, or did you guys need to make improvements? Is there even a soft launch? Oh, yeah, I guess there is, right? Because you had,
We did the paid
yeah.
access beta. And that's when we found out, okay, definitely not optimized for mobile. Newer devices could play it, but we were like learning the lesson that I feel like a lot of new Roblox developers do, because you are so often on your PC that you really don't think about how are people going to experience this anyway else, or any other way. So I think in that month, we were really focused on getting streaming enabled in. So not all assets were loading in to the client every single time that they loaded into the game. They would only load based on region or where the player was, and making those optimizations. And then we saw our playtime go through the roof. And really, I think our goal, and I think any studio's goal, is get to live ops, get to a game that can warrant live ops, because that's where the real money is made. Dropping one-off games that can maybe reach 100 million users and then kind of go away, it's great. Like, it's a good way to make money and build a network. But you really want that one game that can be that flagship that you can live op into every single week. Um, so yeah, I think for Overlook, it wasn't there at first, but we really got there, and then we weekly live opt it for 52 weeks straight. And our user base just grew and grew to 26 million uniques.
What kind of live ups do you guys do for, or did you guys do for Overlook Bay?
Yeah, so since we were doing weekly, and I would say when we released, we were still a team of probably 4. And then when we released in free access a month later, we were probably 6. And then I think to close out 2020, we were probably maybe 7. So we were doing weekly live ops with like 7 people. So how we tried to divide and conquer was, okay, we're going to drop assets one week, whether it's a new pet, a new vehicle, maybe a new house with a new furniture set, something that wouldn't be a lift on engineers. Then, so as our artists would work on that, engineers would have to do like a half a day pass on it. But for that 2 week period, engineers would be working on a new gameplay feature. So we really alternated where it's like, okay, it's assets this week, something new gameplay wise the next. And we just did that kind of in a vicious cycle. But I think that what really worked for the community, because one, there was something always new to collect. Overlook Bay became a massive collectathon, and people wanted to own everything, whether it was every pet,
Yeah.
every vehicle, every accessory. And then when we dropped new gameplay, it made the grind feel refreshing, like refreshed, and something that was new. Um, so that really worked for us. But then doing that also made the game massive file size wise. So now we're actually making the successor to Overlook after all these years. Overlook Bay 2 is its working title, and it's coming out this summer. And it'll be mobily optimized. It'll have 3 years worth of learnings applied to it. But we have high hopes for that as well.
Awesome. So, yeah, so this brought up a question I had, and this is something I was when I came up when I was researching. So I noticed some Roblox games, not yours, where some of the monetization is very sketchy, in my opinion, because like we can't even do that in mobile without
Yeah.
people screaming and yelling, saying like, "Why am I paying for like every single like action in the game?" And I saw that some games did that, and you get in mobile, you get people upset like because they're adults. They're like, "I'm not paying for this." But when the audience is like a much younger 10, 13-year olds, like they're just clicking buttons. Like I think you know what I mean, but like how do you guys think about the monetization, like how to monetize? um yeah.
I think it's a question as old as time, to loot box or not to loot box. And I get where you're coming from too about how it's done sometimes. And I know Roblox is taking steps to correct all of that. Right now, when you publish a game on Roblox, you have to fill out a questionnaire. It asks you if there's a loot box, it asks you if there's trading of paid items, and it's going to give you an appropriate rating and ban you from certain countries that no longer allow those type of practices. Um, but also, when we're designing a game, we really like to be able to focus on cosmetics. I think like that's just the best way to go. One, it's not pay to win. It's never discouraging to somebody that can't. Like you can still enjoy Fortnite with the default skins. I
Right.
personally love to purchase skins, and there's plenty of players like me, and that's what we like to rely on. Where it's like we want to make something that's so captivating to the user that they see the value in making that cosmetic purchase or purchasing the season pass or doing something like that. We really want to avoid when it comes to loot boxing as much as possible, unless they can be purchased with soft currency. So if they can be purchased with soft currency and that soft currency can be earned, we don't feel as bad, because if you have a player like me, who I'm an absolute mobile whale over here,
Okay.
I will I will buy that soft currency, and I will
Yeah.
buy my way into what I want. But we like to make sure that most people can experience the game how it's meant to be experienced, and no one feels shut out, especially because we are touching younger users.
I mean, are you finding that? So I have not bought skins. Like I'm a little bit older, right? Like we, if anything, I was more like pay to win, right?
Mhm.
And you said you love buying skins. And then the younger generation after you, are they just even more likely to buy skins?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Fortnite and what they earn, it's pretty impressive. There's no microtransactions, there's nothing that's pay to win about it, and they're not even on mobile or tablet anymore, and they're still doing such impressive numbers. I think I come from the generation where you'd pay to have the game, and then that was the game, and I know you did too. And that's ultimately what I prefer,
Yeah.
because I would love to pay $70, have the experience I want, and I don't mind DLC either. I mean, it's additive content. I'll play through as much DLC that you can throw at me, as long as it feels fair. Um, but I think since games are so free to play nowadays, like paying to win just almost feels like a turnoff to 85% of the players that will never be able to afford to pay anything. So yes, you can have like Diablo Immortal and make a boatload of money.
Yeah.
But you lose players like me who know, oh, I now have to spend $70,000. I now have to spend this much to be competitive. I'm no longer interested. But you will have the people that chase that, and it can be super lucrative. But I think it really is about, for us, like having a great experience for all users, no matter if you're never going to have one Robux or if you're going to have 50 million Robux. For the people that have 50 million, we have things that you can go and spend those 50 million Robux on. But for the people that have zero and never will have one ever, we want them to be able to experience this game and make those memories and be able to carry that, into like their nostalgia bank. And that's what Overlook was for so many people. It released kind of peak pandemic in July of 2020. And I think that's why so many people want Overlook Pay 2, is because they want to go back. They want to feel what they were feeling back then. They want to have those memories of summer at home with their entire family home because no one could leave, and just having something that's cozy and comfortable and familiar. And it released during like that Animal Crossing moment as well. Like, so that's what games are to me, and that's what I really push for creatively. It's they kind of made me who I am, and I have so many core memories with them that I just don't want to bar a whole collective of people from that experience.
Yeah. So can you give us a preview of like what Overlook 2 is about? Like what features does it have that's not there in Overlook?
Yeah, so Overlook, I guess how I would describe it is it's a cozy RPG, where it can be casual, but it can be more involved if you'd like it to be. Think Harvest Moon, think Animal Crossing. You can kind of choose how you're going to earn currency, what you're going to specialize in. And with Overlook Bay 2, we wanted to add more of those options to have those cozy moments and have a new skill to progress or something new to specialize in. So, one of the big things we focused on was farming. We never had farming in Overlook. And I think having it be something that you can do, right now, our idea is we have a farming skill. 0 through 50 are the levels. And as you're leveling up, you're unlocking new crops, new farm animals. And each farm has a field for crops. It has a barn and it has a chicken coop. Your barn can hold cows and sheep. Your chicken coop can hold chicken and ducks. And then you can plant crops. But what we did was we put that in people's backyards. So when you would leave your house and go through the back door, it takes you to this new instance where it's like this sprawling, beautiful farm. And we really did a great deco pass on it. So if you never want to use it to farm, it's still a really cool backyard. But if you want to use it to
Yeah.
farm, you'll watch it evolve before your eyes in many different ways. So that's one big thing we've added. We also have like other casual things in the game, like mining and fishing, just really relaxing things that you can kind of sit back and enjoy, or allowing those to be more idle. So that way, if players are going to school or going to bed, they can play that and earn like a 1/4 of the currency they would by just going to sleep and being on the experience. But they can kind of farm essentially currency and experience even when they're not engaged. Um, and then we've added so many new points of interest. We've added a new job that puts you in an auto shop. So from being a
Oh,
salesman
okay.
selling the cars to being the dealership
Sailing.
manager to being on the assembly line to being part of the refuelers or car washers, you get to choose your role, and you're all working together in a 25-person shift. So everyone has to rely on each other to kind of cooperate to keep this thing running. So we're adding an element of chaos and cooperative play. But again, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything. We really want Overlook to be what you want it to be. If you want to go and collect seashells and catch fish all day, you can do that and make money to buy pets and care for them.
Very cool. I was gonna say it sounded like you're creating Farmville like on Roblox, but it's so much more.
Yeah, it can be whatever you want it to be, really, and that's what we really enjoy.
Yeah. So I mean, I know we're running a little bit out of time, so I'd love to hear what you think about the platform Roblox going forward. Because like Fortnite, they just came out with Fortnite Creative. The revenue share is a little bit more to the developers. Is that something you guys are like thinking about? Because like 29% is it does seem pretty low, right? And where you see the platform going forward in like the next 5 years?
Yeah, no, I think what Fortnite's doing is amazing, and Wonderworks as a studio is developing on Fortnite as well. Um, right now, there's no way to monetize inside your game with microtransactions or anything like that, and we don't know if there will be, but it is exciting enough, and I'm a huge fan of everything that they're doing over on Fortnite. I think I had like 120 hours last season, so I'm a competitive Fortnite player myself. So but with Roblox, I think one thing I always say to their defense with the take that they take and the cut that they give the developers is we never have to think about back end. We never have to think about servers. Our game could have one player or 1 million CCU and our cost structure wouldn't change a penny. So I think when it comes to developing games that have broad appeal, are going to have a lot of users, we don't have to think about, okay, how are we going to expand this? Are we going to have our servers crashing? Are we going to have to back up data? What are we doing with the players' data? Like, what if we lose that? Like, Roblox bears all of that responsibility for us. And I think that's a decent trade. I know, obviously, Fortnite's doing the same. um,
Yeah.
but also, I think they give you so many tools. And for smaller indie studios and smaller indie developers, there's a way to get an experience out uh, relatively quickly, get feedback, learn from it, and continue to iterate. I know for a studio like ourselves, if we were doing our same strategy on mobile, we're only like 25 people right now. And we're releasing almost 10 experiences a month. I think to be doing that on mobile would be significantly harder and more challenging. And even to do it on Fortnite in some ways would be a little bit more difficult. Roblox has been doing this a little bit longer with the UGC platform, so they have more tools for us, and we're a little bit more equipped there. Um, and then they're continuing to introduce new features and tools like the limited UGC program, allowing you to take commission from avatar items that are sold inside your experience, even if you didn't make the item itself. So
Oh
Roblox is
wow,
willing to give
like
some
an
of their cut
affiliate.
there. Yes, exactly. So they have a lot of interesting programs and they provide so many great services, and everyone there is so helpful. I think it's a great place, one, as an indie developer, and two, as a studio that's really trying to build something. Because I think when you talk about trying to publish your own experience, what other platform has over 300 million monthly active users and over 60 million daily actives? So Roblox is really the YouTube in this situation where they're like, hey, we have the platform, we're handling all the complicated, messy stuff. You just produce good content, and we're going to put it in front of as many people as possible. And I think that's what the real advantage is, and that's what you're not seeing on like iOS and Google Play.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, so to close that out, I'd love to hear what you guys' vision, is for Wonderworks, moving forward.
Yeah, our goal this year, just speaking near term, is to have over 100 million monthly active users across our HyperCats network and our flagship IPs. We're moving towards that. We're nearing 40 million monthly actives right now. And we're going to continue to expand to other platforms such as Fortnite. We actually are releasing 3 Fortnite experiences this summer, along with probably 15 to 20 Roblox experiences as well. Um,
Wow.
but our ultimate goal at Wonderworks is we want to generate IP and create IP that could be the next Pokemon, that could be this next flagship that lives on through a franchise or multiple iterations, and to create that forever game. I think that's our ultimate goal. Create something that can stand the test of time, go to franchise, go to direct to consumer retail, and series too on streaming platforms and services. So that's what we're working towards. And I think by building this network, accumulating all these users, we're going to get there really soon.
Awesome. Well, Zach, yeah, this has been a great conversation. I really enjoy learning a lot about Roblox, and yeah, like it was just such an interesting, career you've had. So yeah, thanks for your time.
No, thank you, Jack. I really appreciate you having me.